All right, the watch list video for August 23rd, which would be Tuesday. SPY still chopping around in that tight August boring range, but intraday has not been boring at all. We're doing a good job again, focusing on the right stuff. I'm just going to keep it up. Now, this has been the best trading summer of my life. So even though the SPY looks boring, if you're focused on the right stocks, there is definitely money to be made. I'm not known for chasing, so I'm not going to chase this one tomorrow. But you know what? It had a huge pop. Anytime I find a low float stock, they went from $1.30 to $2.14 on an intraday basis. It's going to be on my watch list for the next several days. So we'll leave it on the list. RLJE, kind of the same thing. This one had a nice pop from 195 to 363 and kind of closed in the middle of its range, but it's a low float stock. I think it's got like 2.6 million according to finviz.com, so I want to watch that one. SCYX still hanging out here near the highs of this recent range. Definitely worth watching. STEM had a nice pop in it today. This was on the watch list for today. If you watched the video last night, I wanted to watch it today for a potential bounce, just to give you a clue as to what we kind of look for on an intraday basis. It looked just like this when Jane pointed out. This is the opening 5-minute candle, so you know, pretty wide range percentage-wise for the opening 5-minute candle, and then it put in a lower high, right? 165 is very close to 170, so it's very interesting to me if it can get over that. I think it's going to push through the high of the day and squeeze, and ended up calling it long over this candle, 164, knowing that 166 breaks this candle, knowing that 171 breaks the high of day. That's what we call stacked catalysts. Called it at 164, worst case stop, I think 157, and we got to move up through to very, very nice percentage gain. There's a quick example of the kind of things that we look for. Very low risk, tight setups on recent, passionate movers, and STEM certainly met the parameters and held up fairly well, so I'm going to put it back on watch for tomorrow. KOOL also had a nice trade in this one, made several $100s in this one today on top of the big ones. And you know what? It closed pretty strong, so we're going to watch it again tomorrow. It's a low floater, makes nice moves at times. LPTN, now this one closed where it opened after we did get a decent trade in this one today too. It popped nicely. This one looks like, okay, now it's a doji candle or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Looks like it's, after all these green days, kind of found equilibrium, probably going to roll over for a couple of days. But just in case it holds up, we might catch a low risk setup like we did in STEM today. So it goes on watch. GBR is kind of riding the 8-period moving average, the 8-day moving average, sorry. It's given back some big spikes, right? You had this big spike, completely round tripped. Did it again here, almost round trip, did it again, basically closed below its open, but then today closed above its open, and it's holding that 4 support. So this one, if you're a day trader, have this one on watch. You might get another, this thing makes crazy moves. So if we can catch a low risk setup, all over that one tomorrow. We'll keep our eyes on it. This THLD is interesting. You have this huge gap down and then a long consolidation and massive volume on the breakout about 4 sessions ago. And you know what? It's holding up pretty well. So I want to watch this one. It certainly looks good over 114 over today's high, but we might find a better entry. If it's going to break out again tomorrow, we might find a better entry than that 114, knowing that 114 is a potential catalyst, right? As it gets above, this is if it gets above this high, looking to the left, knowing that 121 is the next potential catalyst, and then it's, kind of blue skies. So I like the setup there. SGY had a huge, this doesn't look like much, it doesn't look like a great chart, but it had a huge 2-day move from 953 to 1540. That's a huge move in 2 days. So now we got a red down, lower volume. This one might just catch a bid tomorrow again. That goes on watching. I think probably the same space. This CRK had a really nice move from 4 to 7 over about a week. Now a couple red days on lower volume. So if oil can catch a bid, I want to watch that SGY and CRK for a potential move higher. We're also going to work together as a team to spot potential gappers in the morning. We had a really nice gap play in CYCC today as an example. It ended up giving back a lot of the gains, but not before we got long, literally, right over this candle, 827. And look what happened. So it went pretty quickly through 9 and ended up going, closer to 10. That was a huge one. And a couple other setups for a couple other long trades in that same name today. So the market's been super friendly if you're focused on the right stuff. And hopefully we'll catch another gapper tomorrow. And maybe some of these on this list will pay off as well. All right, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.